Community Matters.
Hello and welcome to Many Voices, One Community, stories that unite us across Long Island and beyond. I'm Gaitley Stevenson-Mathews. I am so very pleased to serve as Community Engagement Officer here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. And I am so very pleased to be the host of this podcast. And we have a special treat today, and that is that my good friend Victoria Crosby is here today. She is, well, I guess you're not coastal, you're not east and west, but you're north and south.
Yes, something, yes.
So Victoria, certainly in Glen Cove for many, many years, Poet Laureate of Glen Cove, a poet, a writer, so involved in the community. I also know you from activism and certainly the Martin Luther King March and so many other things. But what I'd like to do is this. I know a couple of things I want to start off with. One of those, as I remember, you have a book signing coming up for a book. Again, the show is Many Voices, One Community. There is some connection with the book that you have, but would love for people to get out for that. And then I want to kind of delve in to your work in the community and also kind of how you got here and how you and I know each other. But why don't you start? Why don't you share about this book signing coming up?
Okay, my book signing is this Sunday at Janine's American Bistro at 5 o'clock. Well, approximately 5 o'clock. We'll have like a little cocktail hour and then dinner. And she's doing an Elvis-themed dinner, and it's price fixed, although you can order from the menu. My book is called Close Encounters of the Elvis Kind. And it's 6 short stories, each with a theme about Elvis. And it blends facts with fiction and fantasy. And
I will tell you, Victoria is a magnificent writer, a terrific poet. I know you also write for The Leader still on a regular basis. Every time I open up The Leader, I see an article by you.
Yes, at least one.
At least one. And you have such a connection to our community in just a giant, giant way. I want to delve into that a little bit, but I first want to start, Roberta Sarasi, the realtor, and I also know her from Morgan Park Summer Music Festival.
I know her.
Oftentimes when I see Roberta, she will say, well, I was the first person you met. And she actually showed us houses when we first were looking in Glen Cove. But we actually met you earlier than that because we were in Morgan Park. You were then part of the Morgan Park Summer Music Festival. I was the
music director, yes.
You were the music director, and you put together a program, I believe it was British Isles?
Music of the British Isles, or something to that effect, yes.
Music of the British Isles.
England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales.
Yes. So in addition to being a writer and a poet and such a creative family, you were also producer then of that particular festival and the music at Morgan Park Summer Music Festival. And I Scottish country danced on the stage in Morgan Park before I had even heard of Morgan Park or even Glen Cove.
Oh, me.
Or you, for that matter. Right.
Yes,
that must have been,
yeah.
And of course, mutual friend Ann Smith, who now is back in England. You're down in Georgia now. She's back in England, I believe. I don't think it's Scotland. I think she's in England.
Oh,
but anyway, so that's how we met. That was my first acquaintance with Glen Cove. And then the second thing that I remember was doing a house concert. Flora MacDonald Gammon, who is a musician, a folk musician. We had John Pickow, who is Jean Ritchie, who is a folk singer originally from Appalachia, which is how I know her.
She performed at Morgan Park.
She performed at Morgan Park. Okay. So her son, John Pickow, who is now deceased, but was there at that event. You were at that event. And I had first got to know you, and because my guest, who was Flora MacDonald Gammon, who did a dulcimer player,
right,
was from the South. So I had pimento cheese sandwiches. And I remember I was so excited about my pimento cheese sandwiches.
Yes, they still have a lot of them in the South.
And right, you probably know them better now, right?
Yes, but it's not one of my favorites.
No. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm sure. I just insisted that you must have one. And I do remember adoring you but you not so adoring my sandwiches.
I mean, I can eat them. It's like grits. I can eat it, but it's not something I would necessarily order.
Right. No, I understand. But certainly, just to say, we go a long way back.
Yes, we do.
So I know Poet Laureate of Glen Cove.
Yes, and I think I still hold that title because I still do the Martin Luther King Day every year. I write a new poem, and either you've read it in the past.
I have read it in the past
Other
for that celebration.
people have read it in the past. Sometimes I record it and do like a video, but that doesn't always translate very well.
Right.
So I'm still involved.
Right.
And then every year I get an email from City Hall, from the mayor's office, asking for permission to use the poem that I wrote, A Tribute to Heroes, for 9/11.
Right, and I know that is always such a very moving, it's such a very moving event, and your words lend so much strength to that.
I'm always
service.
emotional reading it. It's hard to read it, and I do that now every year in Atlanta. I change it, of course, because I take out the Glen Cove connection. I put in the connection there.
Well, I will say on social media, I do get to see that you're still so involved in the community, both there and here.
Yes.
The thing I wanted to ask, people probably pick up, you don't have a Southern accent just yet, and you still have a little bit of a British accent, enough that certainly you don't sound like a Long Islander. Or Long Islander, I guess they would say I'm a Southerner, so who knows what I sound like these days. But with that as a given, how does someone from your background, how did you come to be in Glen Cove? One, and my second part is, what led you to be so involved in the community, and especially things such as 9/11, such as the Martin Luther King March? I don't know how much that was a part of your heritage growing up, but you have been so grounded in that and involved in that in a substantial way that someone from your background might not typically be the case. So how has that come to be?
Okay, well, I have several stories for you about that. We were looking for a place near the water, and we were shown several houses. One, the house in Glen Cove, where we ultimately moved, and another one was in Cold Spring Harbor. And it turned out that we got accepted offers on both houses, so we didn't know what to do. So what I do when I'm not sure of a decision, I ask God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, for direction. And I was driving in my car. I had dropped my kids off at their music lessons, driving home, listening to the radio, classical music, QXR. I don't think that's around anymore, that station. And after I was mentally praying to God, which one should I choose? I didn't know which one to go with. They both had the pros and cons. So this voice comes on the radio, and it was an advertisement for restaurants. I guess it was the Chamber of Commerce or something. And the voice said, beautiful downtown Glen Cove.
Oh, there you go.
So that was it. That was my decision. And some years later, I told Tom Swazi, who was mayor for many terms, and that's how I got involved in many things. But I told him the story, and he said to me, Victoria, I don't doubt that God brought you to us.
You know what? Here's the thing. I know Tom, so I could hear that in Tom's voice.
Yes, can't you just?
That.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the other question was, how did I get involved?
Right.
Well, I'm trying to remember.
Actually, I want to back it up even further. So where were you born? Where did you grow up? And when did you get over here?
Okay, I came to this country at 19.
Okay.
And I grew up in a small town in England across the River Mersey from Liverpool, which was a big city. But where I lived was a little town. We did not know a diverse group of people. And I have several other books besides the book I talked about, which is actually my first book that's not in poetry. It's not in rhyming verse. But my other books are somewhat political. It's political, well, very actually, political satire. But the last one that I did is called Can You See Freedom? And it's got a lot of my Martin Luther King poems, my poems about Maya Angelou, Malala Yousafzai, Kaepernick, a lot of different people of various ethnicities that I've written about. John Lewis, and in the beginning of that book, I had a lot of people write little comments for me, and I stated in the introduction that I did not grow up with diversity. That living in Glen Cove was my first exposure to so many different people. Raj Singh, who was a good friend,
right? Sure,
from the Sikh temple. I mean, this community. I love this community because it has such diversity.
And I will say, a very different situation growing up where I grew up. But as I've often said on this podcast, racially, I grew up in an area that was quite diverse: a large African American population, Black population, a somewhat smaller Anglo white population, and a quite strong Native American population. But so ethnically, we were quite diverse, and certainly now a Hispanic population. But religion-wise, most everybody was not only Christian, but they were Protestant. I think in the little town, there was one Catholic family and there was one Jewish family. That was it. There was certainly more diversity in the larger towns, but it was a smaller town. But I love the mix here, certainly, especially in Glen Cove.
Yes.
Racially, as far as every walk of life, every religion.
Exactly. It's a city. It's a microcosm of Manhattan, really.
Right, right. And the thing, and coming back to kind of the theme of the program, many voices, one community. And Victoria, I will say you have not only lent your voice in so many different ways, not only with your poetry and your prose, but also your caring and your love for the community. I'm thinking of Cheryl Godine,
yes,
and who is on my list to be on this show. But her dad, as I remember, marched with Martin Luther King.
Yes, he did.
Very involved in the community. Certainly, their church, First Baptist Church, very involved in our community. And I know you. Are you still on that committee? If not, you were very involved on that committee. And when did that start for you? Do you remember?
It's going to be 25 years ago. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
I had written a poem that talks about, racial diversity and acceptance. And I don't think I did that poem. They asked me to write a specific poem, and I wrote a poem which I do now every year, based on the theme. Because each year they have a different theme.
Yes.
Always, of course, Martin Luther King is the person that we're talking about and honoring, but the theme changes. Dreams of Martin Luther King, through the eyes of youth, that kind of thing. All those different titles, they're all in my book. Well, not all of them, because the book came out a few years ago. But anyway, and I've written more since then. But that's how we got involved, and Cheryl and I have become good friends.
Yeah,
she's coming to my reading on Sunday.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, she's a dear, dear person.
Yes.
I feel the same way. I feel so lucky to know her. And certainly in this community, for those of you who are not familiar with the Martin Luther King March, I think it is the oldest continuous march on Long Island.
It is, yes.
In celebration of Martin Luther King. Generally, we start at the First Baptist Church, and then the march carries us to the middle school, where they always have a magnificent program. I mean, to that, I think it's Martin Luther King Commission. Is that the official title?
It's a long title. It's the Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Birthday Commission.
Okay, there you go. So Cheryl, if we got it wrong, don't shoot us. Don't shoot us. No, but I will just say, if you have never attended, it is really so worth it, and the entire community turns out for it. It's oftentimes a little cold, but we all bundle up and we all march. We sing civil rights songs on the way there. They have dancers. They have
the program
guest
is wonderful.
speakers. It's always
very uplifting.
It is. Very
I always
uplifting.
leave there feeling very uplifted.
I do too. And again,
and you wish that more people would attend.
Yes. So I would say when you notice Martin Luther King Day coming up, day of service, make sure you do service that day. But if you are in the Glen Cove area, or even not in the Glen Cove area, drive on up here. the mayor's page, they always make a point to make sure
Yes.
it is there. So
Yes.
look for it on Facebook or reach out to us. We will certainly give them that information. But it's certainly something beautiful, again, just celebrating the diversity of Glen Cove
yes.
and what we have here,
Yes.
I know the Martin Luther King, your involvement there.
Mm-hmm.
I know your involvement from poetry. There is creativity in every corner of who you are. I mean, I do feel that, because it's not only with words, but it's with music. And, there's some people who, God bless them, they're so darn creative, and they write these wonderful songs, and they sit in their living room, and they put them together, and that's where it stays. And I think that the beauty with you is that not only are you creative, but you feel driven enough to make sure that it gets out there and that it is shared. And I think that combination, because sadly, oftentimes people who are creative this way instead of this way. And the fact that you are able to take that creativity and then share it with so many people, now with the internet around the world, quite frankly, that is expanded. So why don't you share with me a little bit more? I know you're a writer and other aspects. I know there are other organizations you've been involved with. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, yes, I write for the North Shore Leader, which I've been doing for many, many years. Even though I've moved, I still write for them. People send me the information, the photographs, and I write the articles. I write now for some publications in Atlanta. But some of the organizations I've been involved with, I was one of the founding members of the homeless shelter, the North Shore Sheltering Program, which unfortunately had to close because the church that they were in, the Presbyterian church, yes,
has closed.
So, but that was a long time ago that I was part of that. Also, the North Shore Historical Museum, which you're involved in. I was a board member and a former vice president there, and also was there. I was not a founding member, but was there very early on, before the building was totally renovated.
Right. And I'll say on my end, I'm no longer a trustee, but I'm a lifetime member, and I've got my regular schedule. In fact, I think it's tomorrow, Chris. I'll be there. So tomorrow, I'm going to be at the museum from 2 until 4 p.m. Actually, not tomorrow. Sunday, I believe, is my day, but on a regular basis. By the way, there is a Edwin Church exhibition happening now.
Yes.
Friday, Saturdays, and Sunday. So they've added Friday, Saturday, and Sundays from noon to 4. So get over to see that if you don't.
I wrote about that for the paper, for the Leader.
Right, yes. It was beautiful.
Yes.
And so well done. Go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm just, also I was involved for a long time with the Nassau County Museum of Art. And a whole lot of other organizations. La Fuerza Unida, which unfortunately also has closed, which is a time now when it really would be very important.
Sure, absolutely.
And just looking through some of the exhibit here before I was waiting to talk to you, it strikes me again how history is repeating itself.
Yes, well, I'll say, and Victoria, how important it is to find the common thread of the goodness within all of us, but at the same time, call it out the minute you see hatred. And as you know, we are the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center.
Tolerance, yes.
Very much, focused on, making sure no one forgets the stories and the lessons of the Holocaust. And those lessons, certainly of anti-Semitism, now more than ever, we have to remind people of.
Yes.
But also those stories of hatred on all levels.
Yes.
And I will say, I've been here since October. And it was funny, I was talking to Toya on one of our other podcasts. And, she was saying how you have to limit, you want to do so many things, but you have to limit how many organizations you're involved with. And after October 7th, I actually stepped down from the North Shore Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that I loved working for close to 5 years. That's when I stepped down from the North Shore Historical Museum because I felt like I wanted to put my energy somewhere else, and I wanted to, do what I could as far as fighting anti-Semitism and be involved. And so ultimately, I was involved with some things and ended up here. But absolutely, now more than ever,
yes,
to see hatred making a comeback and intolerance
yes,
making a comeback.
Yes.
And, for those of us, and there are many others in the community, and, I feel like I wish I could do so much more to see that. And certainly, it's heartbreaking to hear our Holocaust survivors say, I never thought we would be here again.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
I never thought we'd be here again. So, yes, I would say, again, thinking about the many voices and the one community, that certainly is the critical bit, is reminding that there is goodness in all of us.
Yes.
There is the ability to make right choices that uplift all of us and that help everybody rise up to their greatest potential. But you have to remember, Hitler at the end of the day was elected democratically. And,
That's what I'm saying.
that it is
History
within human
itself.
nature to hate. And if you don't call it out and accolades to our leadership here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center,
Yes.
both in our board and in our executive director, that we do. When we see it, it is called out, and that is the right thing to do. And as a museum, I love the fact, as hard as it is, and I found it hard working here on the front end because every day, I would try to just, capture what was happening with the tours, and I got bits and pieces of it. But what's beautiful with it is, as hard as it is to hear those stories, is it ends with the upstanders, the people who stood up.
Right. Yes.
And, I pray to God. I wasn't in Germany at the time. I wasn't there. And it's understandable when there is such pressure to conform, to somehow say, I'm not going to speak up this time, or I'm not going to be the one, or, I don't want to make waves.
Yes.
That is so easy. And I just pray to God that, were I Catholic or were I not Jewish, or that, I just pray that I would have been a family that would have found a way to protect.
Yes.
And to see when you walk in that room and you see our civil rights activists, you see, people around the world, the genocide that still happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
All of that, we have to be reminded of that. So it may seem small in some ways, but I think about the work you do, being involved with the Martin Luther King March, the work you do in highlighting, hatred and bigotry and all of that on every front makes a difference. And the thing, as I worked in the theater business for some years, I still sing a bit here and there. The thing that I feel those of us who are in the creative arts know, and in fact, we are working to put together another Symphony of Hope. We did a concert here that included a combination of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center, the Jerusalem Academy of Music and Dance, and the Long Island Concert Orchestra, that was about hope and bringing together those factions, young people, Palestinian, Jewish, you name it, their background, all together creating. And in some ways you think, well, it's just music. But sometimes when you're pushing the envelope politically, or you're pushing the envelope and you're not getting things forward, you can incrementally make a difference and touch lives, and people can find the humanity Again, the name of our program,
Yes.
Humanity Matters.
It does.
The humanity in it. And that can empower people to make a difference.
You just made me think of something. Some years ago, we had some youth stay with us, and they performed at Morgan Park. They were from Croatia when the war was going on. And they were from the two different sides.
Sure.
But they were a choir. It was called the Balkans Youth Choir. And we did a recording with them at my church, St. John's of Laddingtown.
Right.
And they performed at the park. It was wonderful. And these kids, they got along fine. They were, from different factions of the war. It's, like any
Yes.
other country that's
Right.
had civil wars and situations like that when you're on opposing sides. But these kids got along beautifully. They sang beautifully.
Right.
It was a thrill to have them. And some of them stayed at our house.
Right. So I in that spirit, I mean, and again, we're working to put it together now. Who knows? So I'd say stay tuned. But a similar thing with this Symphony of Hope that we
Right.
hope to be bringing to Long
Right.
Island. Can you believe this? We have been here 25 minutes. Victoria, I just have to say, we could be here another
We certainly
hour
could.
and
We have
25
a lot
minutes.
to
Could we
catch
not?
up on.
But what a gift. I was just so delighted that you were here and that I get a chance to do the podcast to you. I would say keep being your voice and keep making sure that we reach out to the full community, that we are one community, even though we come from many diverse backgrounds. And thank you so very much. I'd like to encourage everybody to please make a point to go to hmtcli.org/HMTV. That will get you to all of our podcasts. You can watch these podcasts. You can listen to these podcasts. And as much as I love this Many Voices, One Community, there are other amazing podcasts. So make sure you sign on. Make sure you find those podcasts. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.